World of Warships is a naval MMO game, and it was suggested for me to review by Womblethumb Nibblewright. Thanks very much. It's a pretty big game file with a long download time, and it's very similar to games like World of Tanks and War Thunder. You load straight into a game as a tutorial of sorts, and pick one of 3 nations to use a ship from: Germany, US, or Japan. The game loads up in windowed mode to begin with, and you can't change it unless you've done the tutorial and got access to the settings, because you aren't allowed those at first. The controls are simple: W and S to tab up and down speed categories, A and D to turn left and right. That also has levels of turn rate, but you don't jump a level with one tap like you do for speed. Your speed and turning have to be a bit predictive, since you have to wait for the ship to get up to speed and slow down. It doesn't just stop when you toggle to stop. Left mouse is fire, you use the number keys to toggle different types of ammo for that, and you have consumables with hotkeys as well. Consumables range from ship health boosts and putting out fires to hydroacoustic search to locate enemies, and smoke shields to hide your ships. Every consumable has a time that it's active for, and a cooldown. Some ships also have torpedoes, which are selected with 3 and used with the left mouse button. There are 2 modes for the torpedoes: a thinner, more accurate target, and a slightly wider one. When you have the torpedoes selected, you'll get a white line for a ship that you've locked onto, telling you where it's going to be, or where it's predicted to be, provided it doesn't turn on its current track. That can give you a chance to try and shoot the torpedoes somewhere where it'll catch them as they're travelling. The torpedoes do a lot of damage, but sometimes you need to be closer to actually land a hit with them, as a ship can turn from a distance and you'll miss them. The structure of the game is very similar to World of Tanks. You have different types of ships: destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and aircraft carriers. Destroyers are faster, lower health, but with more torpedoes. Cruisers are mid-range, some have torpedoes and some don't, some have lots of gun turrets and some don't. It depends on the country, but they have one or the other, or both. Battleships are slow, heavy, with either gun turrets and torpedoes, or more of one than the other, and they have increased health and longer reload times. Aircraft carriers are big, chunky, and slow, harder to wreck by standard turret fire. However, having a giant hitbox and slow speed makes them a giant sitting metal duck when it comes to torpedoes. You can see the tech trees for each ship, and get a little box giving you the stats of each ship if you hover over it, letting you compare ships that you don't own yet with your own. With each of these types you have tiers: tier 1, 2, 3, etc. as you're levelling. The higher tiers get better stuff, and it also determines who you play against, since the online matches will put you with same level and either one lower or one higher for the matchup. You have to research higher tiers and build XP in the previous tier before you can buy the better one, and you have to get to a certain tier to unlock the aircraft carriers. This is the case for each individual country, mostly. I chose the Japanese ship as my starter and tried to follow that tree, but realised they don't have aircraft carriers, so to get a view of all types, I started heading down the German path. Each ship type has its own little symbol, so you can see in-game and on the minimap what ship it is. You start with a cruiser, and then you can unlock destroyers, then battleships, then aircraft carriers. You can also see who is a human and who isn't by whether they have a colon at the start and end of their name. If they have one, they're a bot. You can get upgrades to your ship, and through earning XP, add upgraded turrets and features to them to improve their stats and damage. You have a maximum of 10 slots for ships without premium, so if you want to explore different countries, types and tiers, you will need to sell some ships. I keep saying the game has a lot of similarities with World of Tanks, which is unsurprising given they're both made by the same people, but the slot numbers and tier trees are one of the things, but the game modes are similar too. At first you're allowed to play a random battle, which will be one of a few game modes. Domination, where you have to be first to 1,000 points, or capture and hold most or all of 3 points to defeat the enemies. And a standard battle, which is defending your own single point and capturing the enemy's single point. Or kill them all. Every game mode can be won by killing all the enemies. You have a points bar at the top that slowly increases, and you get a points bonus to each boost if you capture a point. The more points you have, the more points you get. That sounds dumb, but you know what I mean. You also gain points for killing enemies, and you get more points if the enemy is bigger, so a battleship will get you more points than a destroyer. You also have a co-op mode of play, but that's versus bots, and I guess it's just an offline version of the random battle, but I haven't played a single random battle without bots in it anyway, because the game fills the free spaces in the teams with bots, and usually you get about 3 humans out of 12 in a team. The battles all start with the points in the middle and the teams each side. You have to travel to the middle, so faster ships will hit the skirmishers first, and you can't see an enemy indicator on the tab map or in the field or minimap without it being spotted first. You can use autopilot to get you around by picking a point as well, but this is more a feature for the aircraft carrier, since you actually control the aircraft you launch and don't drive the ship whilst they're in the air, but you can move the ship with autopilot. As said, the movement is pretty slow in general, and the gun turrets also take time to turn as well for more realism. You can only use multiple turrets if you're at the right angle, so if you have lines of turrets down your sides, you'll only be able to use the left ones to fire left and the right ones to fire right. The aircraft carrier is a bit more unique in how you play it. It's probably my favourite ship to play, but only in the right circumstances. If you're the last ship left and the enemy have destroyers, you're absolutely dead, because none of your planes are really designed to combat destroyers. They're fast and small, so they're hard to target, and they have metric tons of torpedoes that can and will explode you like a cheap firework. The way the carrier works is that you have 3 types of aircraft squadron: an AP attack squadron, a torpedo bomber squadron, and an AP bomber squadron. All of them are controlled in a similar way, in that a formation of 6 aircraft will launch, you fly them to the target, you can press W to speed up, and they have their own white crosshair below. You press mouse 1 when the crosshair is over the area you want to target, then 2 aircraft will swoop down and another crosshair will appear. Once that crosshair goes green, you can press mouse 1 again to perform the attack. The attack squadron will unload a barrage of fire on that area. This is usually a lower damage strike, but can be used on multiple ships or faster moving ones. You then get to do another pass with the same aircraft. You basically get 3 attempts with each set of 6 aircraft before it goes back to the ship and you have to launch a new squadron. Torpedo bombers have a V-shaped crosshair, and when they swoop down, that V goes green and starts to narrow towards being parallel. The torpedoes you drop actually shoot off in line with the outside vectors, which took me a lot of time to figure out, because I had a ship directly ahead of me and my shots were just splitting away each side. If a ship is head-on with you and is a narrow profile, you're very unlikely to hit anything with this, so you have to get them side-on. What sucks is that bot ships know this, and if you fly straight at them from a distance, 9 times out of 10 they will purposely turn around, so you've got a tiny profile to aim for. What also sucks is that for no identifiable reason, the torpedoes just sometimes don't do damage. They land in the sea, they go directly into a target, and then you get no hit indication and they take no damage. I don't know if it's because I was dropping them too close, but you have to get close to actually get the aim right, and then get penalised for it. The bomber squadron are overhead bombers with a crosshair directly beneath. Your crosshair is oval shaped, so for this one you do actually want to be head-on with a ship or directly behind. You drop bombs on top of ships, and it's really effective against battleships and enemy carriers since they have big hitboxes and are slow. You have to be really predictive with aim for all of these since the ships move through your crosshairs whilst you're going through the animations of the dives and waiting for the crosshairs to go green. It takes some skill to be consistent, and you also have to compete with every single goddamn ship having anti-aircraft fire on it, so you can lose most of your squadron and only get 1 attack out of it by 1 aircraft. I don't recall having anti-aircraft fire on my battleships and cruisers, but then again, it's not often you play a game with carriers in it in the starting levels. As for the actual ship, it uses its own consumables whilst you're flying planes, so if your ship gets attacked and you're dropping bombs, it'll try and preserve itself. If the ship is destroyed and you're still flying, you can finish your attacks before you're considered dead. But it can defend itself with turret fire, and if you press 0, you can designate a priority aircraft defense zone. So if an enemy cruiser sends a squadron to attack your cruiser, it will launch its own fighter squadron to get rid of them. So actually, it's not too defenseless. That's pretty much the extent of the gameplay to figure out, but there are other features. The game has access levels, just general account levels in a way. There are 15 in total, and with each one you unlock a new thing. You have to play games and earn XP to unlock them, and I think for level 14 you have to play something like 130 battles, so the game does like you to have some experience. In the first few levels, you just unlock the random battles after playing a couple of co-op for practice, you unlock upgrades and research, things like that. Then you start unlocking customization options and further modifications to ships. Level 5 gives access to containers for basically free rewards, such as credits, signals to warn enemies of things and give perks, camo for your ship with a defined amount of uses, or extra XP, things like that. Level 6 allows you to transfer earned XP to research any tree or module, so at first you can only use cruiser XP to research cruiser modules. Level 7 gives you access to commanders and giving them perks. You gain a commander with each ship you buy, but you can swap them out. You have to retrain a commander if you want to use them on a new ship, and you can do it immediately or gradually in battles. You can use XP to level up your commanders as well. Level 8 unlocks combat missions. These are almost like daily missions that give you rewards, but it's actually very hard to see how to start these. There is no start or accept button. The only one I could find was enter a battle on the clan battles page, but it was hidden behind premium, so I couldn't play it. Level 9 gives you access to upgrades that you can add to a ship. You only have a couple of slots for these, but you may have a choice of 7 or 8 in total. It's up to you what you use. Level 10 unlocks campaigns. There are 3 main ones, and within these are individual missions, and in each mission there are 8 tasks and a final task. Each task has a difficulty star rating, and in each section, you need a total number of stars to unlock the final task. Doing the final task completes the mission and unlocks the next one. You can make 2 tasks active at once, and you have to complete them in the random battle online. Once you complete one, you can make another active to help gain enough stars. Completing each mission will complete the campaign. Level 11 gives you the Armory, which is basically just a shop. You pay steel, which you get from ranked or clan battles, coal you get from containers, or doubloons, the gold currency for premium items, to pay for containers, premium passes, customizations, signals, captains, historic stuff, bundle auctions, and ship packs. Level 12 unlocks operations, which appear as an operation of the week in the play modes. You do it in a group, and you must have a ship of suitable tier to take part. If you use a premium ship, a couple of which you get given for free at a point, a grand battle option appears, which is a chance to test your ships out, I think. Level 13 unlocks inventory management, so you can sell upgrades and modules off ships. Level 14 unlocks ranked battles, and level 15, the final level, unlocks clan battles, so you can fight a clan versus another clan rather than a bunch of randoms on random battles. And needless to say, off the back of that, clans are also another feature of the game where you can invite people and become a clan. At some point in my play, when the game gave me premium for free, a dockyard appeared where you could do combat missions to earn blueprints and build ships, getting the completed ship as a playable ship in the game at the end. But to get the starter pack for this, you had to have gold currency, otherwise you couldn't really play it. This is where the game gifted me free premium ships, but on a time limit. Since leaving the area and my free trial of premium ending, I haven't been able to find this section again. There are of course the standard parts of MMOs involved too. Premium accounts paid for with real money, the premium shop which is also all real money, standard and premium currency, an account summary with all your stats from battles. I've mentioned these things a million times over. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The game is basically the same idea as World of Tanks. Do battles to earn XP and coin to get better ships, to play better battles, and so on and so forth. It's also the same in the way that once you die, you just have to wait for the battle to end before you get XP and rewards. If you leave an active battle because you can't be bothered to wait 5 minutes real time for it to end, you can't use the ship again from that battle until it's considered finished. But if you're the only human being in a random battle and everyone else is bots, the game will end when you quit and victory will be given to the team with the most points. This can be annoying to wait for endgame, especially if you're trying to get XP on a specific ship type so you can unlock the next one. It's got bright realistic visuals and, from what I saw of the loading screens, a variety of maps. It has Polar, Solomon Islands, Strait, Archipelago, New Dawn, Ring, and another one just labelled Islands. However, they do look very similar, a lot of them, and I'm not sure I'd be able to pick out each map as being distinct. The weather can also change on each map, sometimes being sunny and clear, other times with snow flurries, others with rain. The music is good, with suspense and pace mixed into the battle themes to keep it lively. There are some other little features, like changing the type of port you have in the loading screen. There are 20 choices, and all of them have different scenic backgrounds and music. You can change your badge shape and emblem on your profile, and you can unlock other emblems. You have collections where you can earn pieces in chests, and there's an achievements showcase too. There's also a How It Works video tutorial section with a ton of videos, including tips, and some about naval historical events and stories as well. There's also an F1 toggle in-game to show you all the controls, though the game is fairly easy to get to grips with. As you can see, and as I say a lot with this style of game, there's a lot of content in trying to build up currency and experience to level up ships and get higher tiers and better types. The online play is fairly well populated. It obviously gets boosted by bots, but I think more people live in the higher tiers, so at first it might be hard to find humans to play against, but it'll get better. It's a good game with good visuals, simple mechanisms but with some difficulty to get skilled at, and some decent playstyle variety between the classes. There's plenty of space for progression, and whilst the game modes are pretty much identical, there's still enough entertainment in fighting different opponents and different maps to keep it interesting. The only major flaw for me is the iffy torpedo bomber mechanic with the aircraft carrier, but other than that, it all works pretty well. I think it's better than World of Tanks. It's very similar in a lot of ways, and yes, the combat is a bit slower because of the movement speed, but I found it more entertaining. There are a lot of features, though again, most are hidden behind the premium paywall, but if you're interested in trying out all the different ships from different countries, there's tons for you to do. It's a good game of good quality, so I'll give World of Warships an 8 out of 10.